So this is the most impactful thing I can teach you because it's made me hundreds of millions of dollars. This is also something that nobody wants to learn. It's probably going to be one of my lowest viewed videos. So if you can make it to the end of this video, you're in the tippity top of the 1% who knows the most important thing I can possibly tell you about making a lot of money. And bonus, I'm not even going to sell anything because what I'm going to teach you in this video is how I actually make money. And that's by building tech companies and SaaS companies and then selling SaaS companies. And I don't want to toot my horn. I'm not Elon Musk or anything like that, but I've built a company worth over $200 million. We're doing about $40 million ARR right now, growing at about 40-50% per year, which puts us about 50 to 60 at the end of 2026, crossing my fingers, which by the lowest of multiples in SaaS, a 5-6x, easily puts us at a $300 million company. And so while I'm not the greatest tech entrepreneur in the world, I'm pretty damn decent at it. And I can tell you exactly how to make it work because I've started countless smaller software businesses and this software business and got them the profitability. And in this video, what I'm going to focus on is teaching you how to go and start your company, even if you have no cash flow, even if you don't know how to code. I don't code at my companies. I can code JavaScript. I can vibe code. I am not coding my software, but this doesn't matter. If you don't know how to code, you don't have cash flow right now, I'm going to show you how to get started. And I'm going to show you how to pinpoint the best idea, the best place to start, how to come up with a software idea for business that is going to actually be profitable and get you customers, then how to get those customers, how to turn those customers into a lot of customers, how to keep those customers, and how to start scaling the company. Whether you're an absolute beginner at this or you're a person that's already been doing software for years, this is going to show you how to start the right way. And even if you've been doing software or business for years, I can almost guarantee you're starting your software company the wrong way. Because even though I had like 5 years experience, I started multiple software companies the wrong way. So you're probably doing it as well. That said, let's begin. Let's start the SaaS Super Secret Squirrel Startup Advice Class Lesson YouTube XXX Deluxe Blueprint. That's the name of the video. Tell your friends about it. So look, number one, starting point, why SaaS? So look, I'm not really going to sell you the idea of SaaS on here. If you want to go make some little wingdings, skis bag YouTube influencer business, by all means, go for it. If you're here, you probably already build SaaS or you're pretty sold on it. But I want to double down here if you're on the fence about it just for one moment, because I think if you actually look at the legs of SaaS, it's much easier than other business models and it's much better long term. And unless you're planning to be an entrepreneur and make money for 6 months and then quit and go back to your job, we want to focus on the long term because we want to do this for our entire lives. We don't want to do this for a year or two, okay? And we want a skill set that's going to grow our entire lives instead of being aligned just with this one time period in human history. So listen to me. A lot of people are afraid of SaaS because they think it takes huge cash flow. You have to hire developers and you have to code, and it's really hard to make the product and grow it, and you have to lose tons of money up front. So you have to go and light everything on fire up front. These are all misconceptions that are not true, and I'm going to address a few of them very quickly. So first off, when it comes to cash, no, you absolutely do not need a lot of cash to start SaaS companies. I fucking hate people that don't want to invest and take risk in their businesses. This is not one of these videos where you have one of these YouTube videos saying you can build it without risk, without cash, and without investment. Just buy my $5,000 mastermind. This is not for everybody. This is for the top 1% of people, okay? This is not so everybody can go and make money and have a cool side hustle. This is for people who are really fucking serious about business. So let's get that straight first. That being said, I've started so many SaaS companies with a very small amount of money or bootstrap them, or when I'm going to show you in this video is how to start your SaaS company without any money whatsoever. Now, myself, I hire developers to build SaaS companies for me. I hired teams to do it. And in this video, once you start making money, you're going to want to hire developers. You're not going to want to be doing your own coding. It's just not how you run a company. If you're spending all your time coding, you're not doing all the other things that the company needs, which you are needed to do as a CEO. Now, learning how to code. I think you should learn how to code. I think it's probably one of the most valuable things you can do. With that being said, knowing how to code and also understanding how to vibe code allows you to build apps and software very quickly in the way that we're going to be making them in this video. What we want to do with our software companies when we're starting off is we're not going to go and try to build, especially if we're a beginner at this, we're not going to go and try to build a Salesforce or a Hyros or a Gamma or a Slack. We're not trying to build $1 billion company here. Our goal right here in this video is to build 30 to 50K a month revenue SaaS companies and build lots of them very quickly until we're good at it. And then a few of these might actually scale to a lot higher income levels. We're not going to be focusing on building big, giant SaaS companies in this video, though I will give you the blueprint for going and doing that in this video. We'll talk about that in later videos. That being said, If you know a little bit of code and you can also vibe code, you can build small micro apps and you can start getting into this business model and making 20, 30, 50K a month from smaller apps. And then you're going to scale up and then you're going to have money to fund developers. And so that issue is just a non-issue. People also think it's really hard to come up with a product. I'm going to give you a cookie cutter blueprint that's going to allow you to know what to make and how to research what to make. And so you're not making the wrong product. You're not have to go and like make some big giant Steve Jobs in your garage idea. You're just simply going to have to follow a blueprint for finding breakage in businesses and in making a small little product that fixes that breakage. Now, when it comes to losing and burning tons of money up front, again, like I just pointed out, I'm going to show you how to start these businesses without losing a lot of money up front and pretty much have a 100% hit rate before you put any money into the business. You put all these things together, you might be looking at other business models. And again, this is for people that want to start SaaS. I'm not here to convince you to stop your looks maxing YouTube influencer business. You're going to do it by all means. You got the space wide open. I'm not bringing my jawline secrets on YouTube anytime soon. But if you look at stuff like launching info businesses or e-commerce drop shipping or running an agency or running ads for businesses, all these things are super hyper saturated. So you're competing with like everyone. In SaaS, nobody builds SaaS, and nobody builds SaaS in the way that I'm going to show you right here. And for example, like at Hyros, I have like 2-3 other competitors I have to worry about at my level. There isn't 5,000 people launching every single month that do tracking and attribution. The same thing I'm going to show you right here is going to allow you to be one of the only people in your market, which means by definition, if you want a business that's easy to run, you just be one of the only people selling the thing that people really need. That's the real way to build an easy business. If you're getting into YouTube influencing or whatever the hell people are doing to start businesses right now, you're competing with everyone and there's a moat. So not only is there 5,000 people all trying for the same cookie you're going for, there's 500 people joining every single month. This actually makes it harder because you have to be so damn good at what you do. You have to make it to the top 1%. You have to be in the top 10 people of this 5,000 to really make any real amounts of money. And you're going to spend most of the time in the bottom 4,000 that don't make any money. And so you're really having to reach a level of skill and competency that is extremely high, much higher than the level of skill and competence you're going to have to reach here. So it's actually easier to make money with this. It just doesn't seem like it because of the lack of saturation and the assumed moat of what's happening here. So that is why, as a nutshell, if you're starting in business, SaaS is the best. But when it comes down to the actual legs of the business model, the reason why SaaS fucking rocks is very simple. You're basing your business off of recurring income. So recurring income means that the business is going to reoccur the income that comes in. So if you get a $100 customer, they're going to keep paying you for years as long as your product works and delivers what it's saying it's going to do. This leads to a business model that snowballs and doesn't require you to have to do huge, crazy feats of strength to make it make a lot of money. For example, if you are selling a software for $500 a month, which I'm going to show you to do here, and you get 4 customers a month, $2,000 worth of income coming in per month. That means if you do that all year round and you just stack up those customers, you're going to be making $24,000 a month just from getting 2-4 customers per month. It stacks on top of itself. This means that you're going to have income you can count on coming in to keep improving the product, and it just works in snowballs like that. You do it again the next year, you maybe improve your business to 6 or 8 customers a month. You're making $100,000 a month pretty consistently and reliably very quickly, without having to make yourself famous on the internet or sell to thousands of people. This is different than e-commerce where you have to get your customers again every single month. Info, same exact problem. The other cool thing about SaaS is that it generates high multiples. So when I gave you the multiples of my company, I gave you like the lowest possible multiples people usually get in their SaaS companies, 5 to 6x, which is usually pretty low. If you have good churn and you have a really strong business, 8 to 10x's are very usual. And these businesses are very liquid, meaning that there's always a lot of people lining up to buy them. Now, this doesn't mean people are going to be kicking down your door to buy your SaaS, but after a few years, and if you've established your SaaS, so you get the 50 to 100K a month, there will be a buyer for 4, 5, 6x capital multiple if you're looking for it. So this means you actually have a business that you can sell. You're not going to be selling your drop shipping business. You're not going to be selling your e-commerce business because they don't have this reoccurring model built in. They don't have the market isolation that a SaaS company has. Anybody can go and start a copycat e-commerce business very quickly. Anybody can go and start a copycat info business very quickly. Anybody can go and create a copycat agency business very quickly. What we're working with here is actual tech and development and the IP that you're actually building that has value. And so this right here, just these 2 things alone make SaaS really the best business model, in my opinion, for long-term income building and long-term wealth, because at the end of it, you can exit it. Finally, if you look at AI and you look at software as a service right now, there is no bigger opportunities to make huge amounts of money in the world right now, bar none. We are seeing businesses go from $0 to $100 million in annual revenue faster than ever before. You look at Gamma, you look at Scale, you look at Cursor, you look at Bolt, you look at Lovable. It's fucking ridiculous. Now, I'm not saying you're going to make any companies like those. I am saying the opportunity is just wide open. So there's nothing better you can scale into long-term in your life, because you can start with this building little $30,000, $50,000 micro SaaSes as your first projects. And then once you have your legs underneath it, you can actually go and take some really huge, big swings if you use the blueprint I'm going to give you in this video. The first thing we need to talk about right here is how to actually start a SaaS company. And it all starts with the idea. And so yes, I'm going to talk about hiring developers and actually building it, but you have to understand what you're trying to do here. So the best SaaS companies, in my opinion, to build are going to be B2B SaaS companies. We don't want to be building a Tinder or an Uber. You can do that. You can 100% do that, but it's not going to be the cookie cutter blueprint that I'm going to give you. You're going to have to take some big risks. SaaS to consumer, or software to consumer, is a very difficult niche to get into, because you have to go mass market. And as soon as you go mass market, you have to raise tons of money, and it becomes these software stories that you hear about on TV, or you see like Facebook or Uber. We're not going to try and do that as our first rodeo, okay? We don't want to build some low-tier gaming company. We don't want to do something like that. We want to go and do B2B, because we can sell in a specific way that almost guarantees success. So the way that we're going to go and build a successful company is the way that, for example, if you look at Samsara, this is a company that I'm going to describe everything it does super terribly right here. But what it does is it monitors the levels, the quality, the environments inside of truck fleets while the items inside of it are being delivered. So for example, let's say you got a bunch of lobster in the back of a truck. It monitors the temperatures, the filling, or the amount of liquids or preservatives in the tank. All this really weird, boring shit you would never even think about. And this is like a multi-billion, zillion dollar company. They make so much money, it'll make your head spin. Why am I telling you about Samsara? Because what they did is what we're going to be doing here. They went and originally said, you know, I think a lot of these restaurants and a lot of these people who are shipping things or storing a lot of inventory of products that require specific temperatures or specific climates to stay good, they're losing a lot of money by not being able to monitor their tanks, by able to not monitor the temperature. So for example, if someone's shipping lobster and the temperature goes above a certain rate, they need to know about it, because if they don't, they're going to lose $50,000 worth of lobster. So what they did is they went and started, and they made a little tiny micro app for businesses that could do this. And they went to the businesses, showed it to them, and the businesses actually told them, hey, we need to actually track this in fleets, not tanks in our storage facilities. And then they found the problem, a little niche problem, that people were losing tons of money by not being able to track what's going on in the trucks or their truck fleets where they're shipping goods back and forth, and it's losing them tons of money. So they made a little tiny software and a little bit of micro devices to put it all together. They made a platform for it, and it tracks all those things. And then they sold to these companies for tons of money, and the company scaled to billions and billions of dollars. Now, a lot of things I just said there are not going to be identical to the Samsara story. I'm sure I kind of paraphrased and made up a few parts right there. What I'm describing right there is the process of going from a little tiny little idea app to a multi-billion dollar company by finding one thing in businesses: breakage. What you want to do when you're starting your business and looking for ideas is you find breakage in businesses that is either losing them money through waste, okay, losing your lobsters. If you're driving a truck around and it gets too hot in the truck, you end up with stinky lobsters. So all the businesses were losing money because of waste or scale. So for example, my business, Hyros, if you're running Facebook ads, YouTube ads of any kind for e-commerce, software companies, info businesses, because Facebook ads tracking does not talk to your Google tracking, does not talk to all your organic traffic, the rest of your business, if it doesn't plug in and it loses tracking on phones and whatnot, the result is people can't scale their ads as far as they want to. So what Hyros does is it plugs tracking and attribution and fixes that tracking and connects all the tracking to business. And when you slap it on Facebook ads, on average, the business is going to make 10, 15% more. That's proven across 5,000 plus businesses, huge names in basically every vertical. And so what we do is we found a lot of breakage because people were not able to track their ads correctly. We provide correct tracking that connects their entire business. Suddenly their business is able to make 10, 15% more. So if a business is making $500,000 per month from their ads, suddenly they're making $550,000 per month. This is, again, breakage due to something wrong with the business model or something disconnected. In the scale side right here, my example of tracking, and the waste side, losing product or inventory. Either one of these things right here, if it's losing 50K a month or they can make an extra 50K a month, you can then bill from this money that you're making them. So if you're making an extra 50K a month, you can easily bill 2K a month for the service. You're saving them 50K a month. Depending on how painful that 50K a month is for them, you can bill 2K, 5K a month for the service. This is where we make our money at. And the reason why this is so easy to sell is because you have a product that is unique that nobody else has that is also printing them money. It is so much easier to sell someone something. For example, if you're selling a looks maxing course on YouTube, you have to convince a motherfucker to just give you $2,000 out of their pocket without any incentive. Right here, if I say, hey, look, you will make $50,000 if you give me $2,000, you suddenly have someone hooked in immediately, and they're going to say yes to that as long as you can do it. As long as you can do it. This is what we're going to aim to look at in businesses. So what you want to do when we're starting our SaaS is we want to find breakage, but we don't want to just find generic breakage. What we want to do when we're starting SaaS companies, especially when we're starting small, is find breakage in specific niches and niche the F down. So what we want to do is we want to find businesses that have money. Okay. We don't want to be selling to startups or beginners. Okay. When we're looking at little people making their first info product, for example. If you look at school, that's exclusively their niche. That's who they sell to. School makes a lot of money, but it took them like 5-6 years to make money, and they have to build massive mass market to get people in who are not making much money from their businesses and teach them how to make money from their businesses or courses or whatever. These are not people that have lots of money, and so we're trying to convince someone that doesn't have money to give us money. We want to actually just go for someone that's already making money, and then we want to give them the opportunity to make more money, and then they'll give us some of that money. Much easier way to go. You can build something like school. It's just going to be hard. I don't like hard. I'm going to show you easy. So we want to find businesses that are making money. In this example, I'm going to use doctors. And then we want to niche down, okay? Dentist. And then we want to niche down even further. Organic dentist, okay? You know, like the people that go and remove fillings because there's like metal in them or some spiel like that. We want to niche all the way down to this. Why do we want to do this? So we're not going to just go to doctors. I'm not saying just go into the medical niche. What I want to say is you want to find professions, jobs, business tracks that are making money, and then you want to go 3 to 4 levels down. This is if you want to start up correctly and easily. Why? Because if I'm making a software for all doctors, I'm going to have a lot of competition, and there's going to be a lot of stiff competition there because it's a huge market. If I niche down to dentists, it's going to be a much smaller market. I'm going to be able to sell much easier because there's a lot less people competing for dentists. For example, if you look at Alex Hormozi with Gym Launch, way back then, people were making all sorts of courses for businesses and how they can go and scale their local business. Alex went one level further and targeted gyms. Absolutely no one was making services or business growth products for gyms back then. No one was. It was no one even knew how to even grow gyms. Alex was literally the only person doing it. Now, I'm not going to take away from any of Alex's skill or skill in business. He's obviously very competent. He's kind of decent at it. That said, he had such an easier time growing that business to $40 million per year than other people had growing businesses to $5 million per year because he was the only motherfucker selling to these businesses. He even took a little SaaS product and made one. It was very small, and he scaled that to like $1 million per month selling at the gyms because no one was making this stuff for gyms. There's no one selling them SaaS products. That's the example I'm trying to give you right here. So if we scale down to dentists, it's going to be even easier. And if we scale down to organic dentists, we can make a product that is so micro-specific that when we get on the phone with these people, we have something that is so much easier to sell to them than if we're selling something way up there. We're going to be the only person selling a little micro app that is for organic dentists on planet Earth. They're not going to be getting multiple phone calls. You will be the only person that calls them this year and like, hey, you're doing an organic dentist business. I have this little phone app that leaves voicemails and is fully trained on organic dentist businesses, and it's going to help you close 3 to 4 more clients per month, which is going to make you $10,000 per month. You just pay me $1,000 per month. We're good to go. Organic dentist buddy. We're going to make the big bucks. You're going to be the only person that sells them that ever. And I'm going to tell you the big secret to selling. It's not being a good copywriter. It's not being smooth on the phone. It's having something that people really need and they can't get anywhere else and is unique. If I tell you right now that I have a course that cures acne, you're probably not going to listen to it. You're probably not going to buy it. But if I tell you right now, I have a specific course that cures a very rare form of acne that you have, that is super micro down, that nobody else is offering on the entire internet, you will pay me instantly, and you will pay me 5 times more what you pay for that original course. The secret is not being good at selling, though that helps. The secret is not copywriting, though that helps. The secret is having a hot dog stand in a desert. That's what we want to do here. So with this, you have to understand when we nudge down, We're going to go and target breakage in these very small businesses. Then we're going to move to step 3 once we target the breakage. In this example, I'm going to use, let's say we have an organic dentist office, and when people call or message their support, people that are at the front desk are not fully trained to answer any questions on organic dentistry. They're just not there at that level. What we're going to do is we're going to train a LLM chatbot to go into their customer support and not only convince and answer people's questions about organic dentistry, but get them to book a call. And then we're going to create a little micro app that they can plug into their site that does that for them. And it will also follow up and text them and everything from there. Now, you're probably wondering, how do I go and build one of these things? There's a million zillion videos on how to vibe code and build stuff on YouTube. I'm not here to talk about building this specific product. That's actually not that important. We need to talk about the positioning, because once you understand the positioning and how we're going to put it all together, that all kind of falls into place. So we need to get into how we're going to build these little apps or whatever. So what you're going to see in this video is what I'm really trying to do is trench. And by trench, I mean get really deep in the nitty gritty and make a product so specific someone can't say no to it. We're not going to rely on sales skills. We're not going to rely on our ability to run ads. We're going to rely on making something so custom fit to a customer and so low scalable that they have to say yes to that. So what I mean by this is do things that don't scale. Which don't fuck. All right, so look. I'm not going to write out everything I say in this because why? I don't see the point. But this means do things that don't scale. You're going to see this all over SaaS. For example, when the guys that built Stripe, when they originally got going, the Collison brothers, they would go up to people at events and be like, Stripe is much better than PayPal. And people are like, no. And they say, no, really, we'll just install it for you for free. And you tell us. And they went and put Stripe on people's businesses. They did it for free. They didn't bill them. They showed them how much better it was. And then as soon as the person saw how much better it was, they had a locked in 3 to 5% fee, whatever they're charging back then on those businesses forever. And then they did that 10, 20, 50 times until word of mouth, everyone was saying like, hey, Stripe is pretty damn good. And it just went from there. So that's an example of do things that don't scale. You're going to hear that all the time. We're taking this down to another level. When we are building our original SaaS apps, due to vibe coding right now, and due to how easy it is to learn code and how many tools are to learn code, we can actually go and create a specific app for each business. And what we actually want to do is we want to build a platform that we can bolt things onto pretty easily. And what do I mean by that? That means we can go and build a little app. Let's say we make a call booking app, just a little dinky thing specifically for organic businesses. We can easily go and vibe code different parts of it on there. Or once you hire a developer, they can easily go and add little features for each specific business that's on there. So why do we want to do that? Well, what we're going to be doing when we first start off is we're going to be approaching these businesses and you just offer them the software, what you're going to be doing for free. Now, because it's so specific and so catered to them, they're going to say yes to it. And then what you do is you go and you set up the business on your app that fixes whatever breakage there is in their business, and you do it for them. And then you just deliver the result. So once you deliver the result to the business, let's say we have this little organic dentist business, and you can go and dramatically improve it with a little custom AI bot. This is an example of AI as a service where a lot of things are heading. And you can scale these things up to the moon. So for example, at Hyros, our other product Air, you just slap it on a Shopify site and it basically adds an outbound SDR for every single Shopify store and every visitor that comes to the site. It identifies the visitors, looks at what they're looking at, and then reaches out to them to talk to them about the product they were looking at and close them on it if they did not buy. You slap this on any Shopify store or any SaaS business, really, anyone who's just trying to get their visitors to come back and buy, it instantly increases the business by 3 to 5% like that. By fixing the breakage of people coming to the website and leaving. This is something we can scale up super duper quickly and is scaling really fast at Hyros right now. I'm just giving you an example of where these businesses can go. And to redefine what I just said right there, that Air example, our product over there, we don't charge for it up front, especially not right now as we launch it, because we know the thing works. So as long as people go and put it on their site and set it up, they're going to see the result and then they're happy to pay for the result after. There's no reason when you're selling SaaS to be billing up front other than the need for cash flow, which we'll talk about here in a minute. Because if you deliver the result, all you have to do is just get the person to the damn result. Get the person to the point where you're making $5,000 extra a month and then build them $1,000 per month. They will pay you $1,000 per month to keep that $5,000 every single time. There's no reason to charge up front. There will be here in a second. I'm going to show you, but when you're starting your business, what you want to do is you want to get them the result. And then once you've gotten them the result, then you start billing for it. So we're going to go and install this chat app on the dentist site. And this is also going to give us our initial feedback when we're building our product and whatever we're doing. And we're going to install this on the person's website. And then we're going to go and build them after the result. Then what we're going to do is we're going to take that result and use that and advertise it to the next people we market to. We do this for 3 dentists, 3 organic dentists, for example. And again, this could be any business model, restaurants, jujitsu gyms. I like doing it to local businesses because you can niche down so far. Just pick a local business like HVAC and then do a specific type of HVAC. Find a roof repair business and then niche down the commercial roof repair. That would actually be the best ones to go after, the ones that have giant jobs that are $100,000, $200,000, because if you can just get them 2 more jobs a year, you can easily bill them $10,000, $20,000 per year for what you're doing for them. And those usually are just wide open because no one's thinking about those businesses or understands those businesses. Anyways, once we get this and do this for 2 to 3 businesses, we get the result, we start billing them, and then we use that result to close other businesses. You call people on the phone and then suddenly you have a bunch of results. So for example, the way I originally grew Hyros is we got it on a bunch of info businesses because they have really hard times tracking their call bookings to their closes and their webinars. A person joins a webinar, and then what happens is the person usually buys 5-6 days later. It's very hard for them to track. It's impossible to track on Facebook ads. What we did is we reached out to these businesses and said, hey, we'll plug this in. We'll set up for you. We'll share the result. We did that all for free for them. They saw the result. Then they couldn't live without it. Then they were willing to pay us for it. Then we took that result, reached out to bigger businesses, repeated the process all the way up to famous brands. That's why we have like Tony Robbins, Alex Hormozi, basically anyone in the info niche on top of Hyros. That's why we have a lot of hotels and a lot of large SaaS companies and software companies on Hyros, because we're able to go and complete that tracking right there. And we took those results, we got those companies on, we got them to give testimonials, and that brings the same type of company on. So we were going to use this kind of snowball effect over and over and over again. And the reason why this is going to do very, very well is every single person you're talking to, you're going to set up for them. Now, going back to the whole do things that can't scale, the reason why we're going to do this is because this is your major advantage when you're small. You're not trying to make $100 million a month. So it's not like, for example, if you're building an AI as a service company like Harvey. Harvey is a LLM wrapper, which people think is a bad thing right now. I think they're great. That wraps around ChatGPT and whatever and helps lawyers do their jobs much quicker and efficiently. They make $150 million per month. But in order for them to do this, they have to make something that is turnkey where they can sell to lots of people without being there. Funny enough, Harvey only has like 500, 600 clients, and it makes that amount of money from what I was reading. So they actually did this do not do things that don't scale thing all the way to the moon. So this can actually work all the way to the moon. At 500 customers at 150 million, you pretty much get the chance to know every single one of your customers. Anyways, your big advantage right here is you're going to be working with these businesses almost one-to-one, and you're going to be custom fitting the software to them. You can add little widgets to it. You can custom design the software to it, especially with vibe coding, which I'll talk about here in a second. And you can also set it up for them, and you can actually optimize the software around them. So for example, at Hyros, if I want someone to come and set up their tracking for themselves and start making more money from their ads, if they're going to do it on their own, the setup rate is going to be very low because the person isn't going to make the effort. If we have the person come on and we just do it all for them, which we do at Hyros, then the person automatically guaranteed makes that amount of money. Once they make that money, we can start billing from that money. And so that's the huge advantage you're going to have early on, because you can do that 10 times more. We have to have like a huge success team, like a well-rounded army of customer support agents to do that higher. So you can just do this one-on-one for each of your customers and know every one of your customers and keep every single one of your customers, making it more like a service or an agency business you're running, but you have a unique product instead of something like ads or SEO that everybody else is selling. So this is our huge advantage right here. Now, before we continue, I know you're thinking about, how do I learn to make these apps? How do I do this? So there's 2 ways you go about building these apps. The one way I would suggest if you get started is you just hire a firm. There are tons of firms out there that just have a CTO in a box. You have a person that has his own team of developers. You pay them money, they can create an app. I built so many apps for $20,000 to $30,000 that cash flowed almost immediately building with this type of style. You just hire and pay someone else to build it for you. Now, if you're just getting started, you probably don't have $20,000 to $30,000 laying around to do this. I'm just saying, if you've raised money or you're already an entrepreneur, this is just the way to go. You don't need to be learning code or vibe coding. You have money laying around, just do this. Just hire a firm to do it. Then once you get to 50, 100,000 a month, whatever you're doing from your software company, then hire a CTO, start building your own team, or find a way to get more tightly knit with the firm. So number 2, if you're completely strapped, here's what you do. Go learn the code and then take that over to vibe coding. You're probably rolling your eyes right now, and I just want to be fucking straight with you. 1, code is not hard to learn. For example, in 60 days, I was able to learn how to become a fairly competent junior to mid-level video game developer. I can go and develop entire video games, full menus, UIs, full stack video games, and I learned how to do that in about 60 days. Am I like world-class going to be working at Blizzard kind of developer? No, but I can 100% go build a video game from scratch, vibe code it all the way to an MVP, and make a video game. And this was before vibe coding existed. I learned how to do that in 60 days, just sitting at my computer for like 5-6 hours a day, learning how to code. You can totally get to the point where you can make MVPs and small products for companies just from your house without any investment. And this is the best skill set you can ever do, because one, you're going to want to know coding to extent so you can bug fix and understand what the vibe coding is doing. Two, all of coding is being replaced by AI coding. So once you understand and have these two skill sets together, you have something that allows you to make unlimited proc swings. You could just line up, make a software, doesn't work. Okay, cool. You make another software in a week. Doesn't work? Yeah, whatever. You make another software in a week. And you just have endless bats to go and make software. This is amazing because you can just go and make software from scratch and you have a unique product every single time versus hopping in the niches that everybody else on planet Earth is hopping into. I know going and learning JavaScript and learning the vibe code might seem like that's the hard way to go about starting to make a business. You couldn't be more fucking wrong. What is very hard is going and making a YouTube channel or an e-commerce drop shipping store or one of these other businesses that everybody's telling you that's easy to get into that has thousands and thousands and thousands of competitors entering every single day. If you are making little apps for organic dentists, it's you and one other fucker in Wyoming competing against you. There's no one else to get into it with you, and you can learn how to be pretty competent at it in probably 90 days, which is incredible for a business that is selling a unique product that is going to give you such an easier time selling than any of those businesses I described. If you go and get into those other businesses, you have about a year of just competency, study, and practice to even get to the point where you're making money with those things. Nobody goes and starts these little YouTube influencer businesses making any level amount of money until their first 1 year to 2 years in, where they're in the top 10% of people. You can get in the top 10% of what you're doing right here because your niches are so minute that there's nobody else in there. You just literally enter the niche and you have an app, you're in the top 1% because you're the only person doing it. That's why I think this is way easier. So what I would suggest is you go and learn basic SaaS development and JavaScript. Go learn how to build an Instagram. Go learn how to build a basic booking app from scratch. It's going to take a little bit of time. You're going to have to learn some code. But the worst case scenario is you have a skill set where you can then go work for $15,000, $20,000 per month coding up software for businesses at a business. Now, again, you're not going to be a world-class developer, but if you just keep trying it, you have a skill set that scales and gets you paid and gives you a permanent job for the rest of your life. There's no lose-lose with learning code. There is massive lose-lose to going and starting a YouTube channel or some info businesses and it doesn't work out. There is massive, huge loss if you go build some e-commerce businesses and it doesn't work out. There is no loss if you learn code. There is none. Worst case scenario, you can get a really good job. So it's not particularly hard to learn, and with vibe coding, it's getting easier and easier and easier. I would say in about 2 years' time, I don't think vibe coding is going to be able to replace coding things like Hyros, but when it comes to building MVPs and lower-level software, 100%, especially custom one-to-one software for businesses, which is what we're doing here. The goal is to get to the place where we can build little MVP softwares for businesses. So what is an MVP? This is a minimal viable product. This is the bare bones minimum of a product to work. You don't even have to actually make it work. If you can just show a business something like an idea, and you can simulate how it works. I don't even care. Let's say we put that little chat bot on an organic dentist site. You show it to them and then you simulate and you just type the responses on their side. Do not sell this shit, motherfucker. I'm not saying scam people's business and work as a little Fiverr support rep posing as an AI for these. Don't do that. I'm saying if you can simulate how it's going to work and they go, oh, wow, that's really cool. And then they say, that's neat. And you say, okay, I can build that for you. It's going to be X amount of dollars. And then you actually build the thing. That's the good place you want to be at. We can go and build MVPs like this with a little bit of JavaScript skill, as long as you can read and understand, look at JavaScript, which does not take a lot of time to do. Okay. Again, I've learned to write very complicated JavaScript in entire video games in just 2 months' time. You can go and building software is not that hard. You don't even have to deal with physics or all the weird ass bugs that happen in games. So if you know a little bit of JavaScript and then you understand it enough to go vibe code to the point where you can actually edit your vibe code, what a lot of vibe coders are doing right now is they go and vibe code something out in Claude and Cursor and then they can't go and fix bugs in it. That's not going to work. But with Claude and Cursor and a few other full stack things, you can easily go and create your own apps easily. And then the cool thing with this is when you make the little custom MVP for the person, one, you can make it very quickly for them. And then two, you can bolt on stuff with vibe coding. So if they want a little extra feature, they want to do this, vibe code that shit out on the weekend. Done. Now you have this little custom feature for them. Now, here is where it starts to get really nasty and fun. When we're selling to these businesses, because you're doing it one-to-one, and this is what's going to give you your huge edge that's going to allow you to start up and start making money faster on their businesses, is we're not trying again to go and build something that's going to scale to $1 million a month right now. That requires raising money, hiring developers, being really fucking serious about what you're doing. We want to make something that's going to make us 20 to 50K a month. And we want to cash flow it very, very quickly. So what we're doing is, because we're selling it one-to-one, you can say, look, after you get your first few results, say, look, I'm going to be custom adding things to this software for you. I'm going to set it up for you. I'm going to manage this so your business gets results. And what we're doing right here is basically guaranteeing results. I feel stupid having to say this, but guaranteeing results is the best way to make sure that you get customers. So for example, when I first launched Hyros, and still to this day, we basically said to our customers, hey, like, big giant customers, the biggest names in InfoMark and the biggest names in like hotels, SaaS and stuff like that. We say, hey, we're going to go set this up fully for you. And you're going to pay up front for it because we're going to give you top tier support, all this kind of stuff. And you pay 10 months, 12 months advance because we're going to assign a full team to you, custom fit it to you, all this kind of stuff. This allows us to make money up front. But the other flip side of that is we also guarantee that, hey, if your ads don't scale another 15, 10%, you don't find 10, 15% waste inside of your ads right now that allows you to save 50, 100,000 a month, we will not hold any of the money. We will give it right back to you. We have a endless refund guarantee. You do not see results, you don't pay for it. So what you're going to do is the same exact thing. This is how we built Hyros from scratch. We'd reach out to businesses, we'd guarantee results, we'd have them pay up front because we guarantee and we're assigning a huge team to them. This allowed us to then, for example, if it's a $500 per month contract, they would then pay us $5,000 up front. This gives us a ton of money to work with. So only we had to do was close 20 customers a month, and we were making 100K a month. And our bills were about 100K a month when we were starting off. Yours will be nowhere near that. Okay. But we easily were able to break even and start scaling the company using this method. You, on the other hand, will not have bills because you'll be the solo developer or have a very small team that's easy to pay for doing this. And so you're going to say, look, I'm going to custom suit this all for you. I'm going to do it all for you. All I require is that you pay annually up front. This is going to allow me to fund the things that are going to allow us to custom fit this to your business. If for some reason this doesn't work out, you will have that all refund guaranteed. I have a no time limit guarantee. If you do not see results from this, you don't pay for it. Okay. And it's not one of these little internet marketers where, like, if you see results that I think are results, I'm going to keep your fucking money, asshole. That you could see that in most internet marketers, that's their refund guarantee. It's kind of, you see a lot of them getting in trouble on YouTube right now. I'm just going to give you one piece of advice from an entrepreneur that's been doing this shit for a long time. If you build a business based around keeping people's money who do not want you to keep their money, eventually those people are going to stack up and they're going to fuck you. They're going to fuck you hard. And really, I'm going to give you the other biggest secret here in business. The biggest secret in all business, the best way to make tons of money is if you get a customer, the customer buys from you for years. They come back, they buy more. I don't care if you're selling socks. I don't care if you're selling software. I don't care if you're selling hotel rooms. If your customer comes, doesn't like it, and then doesn't buy again, you don't have a business. If your customer comes in the hotel room, fuck, there goes all the viewers on this video. If your customer comes and then buys again, you have a business that can scale to the moon. It is the ultimate secret. If you don't have that, it's so hard to grow business. So what you want to focus on is just give crazy refund guarantees, because it doesn't fucking matter unless the customer comes and buys again. So you might as well just guarantee it because you need to get that result. If you don't get the result, you don't have a business that's going to last long term. And the reason why you see so many people and beginners have businesses that struggle is because they don't deliver the fucking result. If you deliver a result, if you give someone $5 and they pay you $1, you will have that person paying you $1 for life. So look, again, the way we're going to cash flow very easily is we're going to offer, at first, we want to do this for free for businesses. So they sign up and it's very easy to sell because it's custom fitted to them and it's free. But then what we're going to do is we're going to start charging up front. So let's say you have this dentist office, and if you go and put your little chatbot on them, they're going to make an extra 50K this year. All right. An extra, I don't know, $5,000 a month. Let's just pretend a year has 10 months, okay, just for easy multiplication. And so from this, you're easily going to be able to bill them 10% of what you make them, 5K. All right. And so let's say your service is $500 per month. So you're going to say, look, hey, I need the funding for this to actually build the software and get it going. You're going to have custom one-to-one support. It's going to be $5,000 up front for me to build out this entire thing for you, manage it, and optimize it for you. So does that sound fair? They're going to say yes, and then you just guarantee it. It's going to be a very easy sale. This is going to allow you to get cash flow, because if you just get 4 dentists a month, you're making $20K a month. This is easily covering your costs to hire a developer or develop this yourself. Hell, you could even just vibe code the thing, get an MVP on, and say, I will develop this entire thing for you for $5,000 up front. Hell, you go find another business, you can get businesses to pay you $20K up front for stuff like this in the same exact model I'm giving you. That's just a little intimidating. I think $5,000, $3,000 up front is a little bit more understandable. Now, $3,000, $5,000 up front sounds like a lot of money and kind of like hard to sell. Yeah, if we're selling some wing-ding internet marketing mastermind or some self-serve product, yes, it is. But if we're offering to basically be someone's employee and build a software and manage it for them, no, it's not. Now, what I just stated right here, becoming someone's basically an employee for them and building a software for them and customizing and managing it for them so they get results, is that scalable? No, you're not going to get to $1 million a month doing that. Is it scalable to $50,000 a month? Hell fucking yeah, because once you set up these customers, you really don't have to do much for them. You're basically running a software agency. Once you get to the point where you're making $1,500K a month, that's when we flip it over and you start selling it to businesses self-serve. You show them that you have 50 clients that are getting really good results with your software. And then what you do is you say, you sign up, there's an instruction manual to set it up, or you sell it to an agency, whoever's going to set up for them, and they self-serve. And then you start having the situation where you have, if you go sign up for Slack, for example, you don't talk to anybody, you sign up, you start using it. Salesforce, HubSpot, same experience. Then you start having that experience as you scale. You're not going to do this all the way to $1 million a month, but you can do it to $50K a month. This is the point where you then have $50,000 a month rolling in, $100,000 a month rolling in, and you can actually start hiring developers and scaling up the company. Now, I'm just going to give you a few little more tidbits because what I just gave you right here, I don't care if you're a veteran or a beginner. This is the best way to start a SaaS business, and starting a SaaS business the right way is essential. For example, I made a software company before Hyros called Market Hero, and we got to about 400,000 a month. We launched at about the same time Klaviyo did. Klaviyo is a $7 billion business. Market Hero is dead. It doesn't exist anymore. The company's closed. Why? Because we started Market Hero the wrong way. We tried to make an email autoresponder that was based around all customers. And what we then did is we made it very cheap to get into. Basically, if you look at MailChimp prices, it's very easy to go into MailChimp. So what we had is a business model that was not unique to customers and didn't allow us to cash flow very quickly. So we couldn't make, it was just pain and needles scaling that thing against these other companies because it was super saturated. We couldn't make a lot of money up front and it wasn't nailed down to a niche. So we weren't the best solution for everybody. All Klaviyo did was do the exact same thing we did, but made it just for Shopify stores. And Shopify wasn't the behemoth that it is now, but it just said, we think e-commerce is going to be really big. So we're only going to work for these specific types of customers. Because of that, they could bill up front. They could custom suit things to these e-commerce stores. They could do all the things that I just talked about right here. And then they scaled that thing to $7 billion valuation. Okay. I wish I could go back in time and be way more smart and use the processes I showed you right here about finding specific business models and then niching up. So for example, I don't think Klaviyo did this, but the way they could have started even smaller was like only doing it for snowboard shops, which is how Shopify actually got started. But they could only do it for snowboard shops or very specific types of cosmetic shops and Shopify. And it's so important that you start a business like this and you start at different points based on the amount of money you have. If you're an entrepreneur right now, for example, when I started Hyros, I had hundreds of thousands of dollars coming in from my SEO businesses and my info businesses that allow me to go and fund Hyros. But when I was going and making my first softwares, what I'd use is this exact niche model right here. I made little niche SEO softwares for SEO agencies, and I would start them and I'd hire little firms to build them. I'd spend about $30,000. They instantly got to about $30,000, $50,000 a month. I repeated that over and over again. So there's two directions that you want to go here if you're starting these types of businesses. But the thing I'm emphasizing first is starting them the right way and knowing where to start at and starting with that MVP and that self-serve system. Because at my SEO businesses, the big problem I ran into is I tried to do the whole self-serve, and because of that, there was just crazy amounts of churn in the software because they weren't very good. They weren't customized to the customer, and I didn't spend a lot of time with the customer. That's not how you want to build these businesses. What you want to do is you want to start one-to-one with the customer and then start scaling the customer and never lose customers. That's the best way to grow the businesses, and you want to do this by offering a product that's super unique to them, that only fits them, and is customized for them, and you're doing a lot of things that don't scale at first. That's the best way to start these businesses out. Now, based on where your cash flow is, you either want to start by learning code and vibe coding. If you have a job right now, fine, that's whatever. It's like, I don't think having a job is a bad thing. It's a great way to fund your business safely while you're starting it. Go learn JavaScript. Go learn to vibe code. Go learn how basic stacks of software work. I don't know if you're going to need to learn HTML and CSS and all the parts of a stack like you used to, but you definitely need to know how they all plug together. Just go do that and start trying to vibe code little apps. Take the money you're making from your job and do that. That's the best way to get started right there. If you have a little bit of money coming in, you want to hire a firm to do it for you. If you vibe code apps and you get the 30, 50,000 a month, you want to start hiring developers because you have so many other things to be doing as a CEO other than making code. Okay, it's just not where you want to be doing that. If I made code at Hyros, it would limit my efficiency at the company infinitely. I need other people doing that. And then once you get your little software, the 30 to 50K a month, you have two options on what you want to do. Do you want to scale the business to the moon, or do you just want to make more cash flow? I'm going to tell you a little secret right now. The more money you make and the more higher your goals are in SaaS, the harder it is to cash flow. So it's easier actually to make 50, 30,000 a month profit from a little micro SaaS company than it is from a $1 million per month goal company. Why? Because when you get in the big boy SaaS, what's going to happen is you're dealing with other companies that want to make a fuck ton of money. And when you get in the big boy SaaS, the goal is not actually cash flow, it's valuations. So for example, Gamma is a company that launched in the last 2 years. Now, they're a profitable business, but if you look at most companies that have gone from 0 to 100 million recently, they don't make any money. They're in the red, actually, but they're valued at like $5-7 billion. And so where the founders and everyone is making money is in the valuations and eventually taking the company public. You get the company, you get to a huge $2 billion valuation, you go public, suddenly you have $2 billion in stock. Okay, so that's how they make their money. That's how they're making money. And so as you scale the business up, what's going to happen is you run into these type of businesses that aren't trying to make money at all. And that means they can outcompete you because the way they grow is by spending tons of money to get tons of customers and grow very quickly. We don't want to do that if we're looking for cash flow right now. If you're trying to make 30, 50,000 a month income, what you want to do is you make these little micro SaaSes that are super niche down, and then you make another one. And then you make another one. And then you have little teams manage each of these, and you have little sales systems for these. As soon as you start scaling any of these, big businesses will notice once you get to 200, 400K a month or something like that, they're going to notice, they're going to clone it, and they're not going to try and make cash flow. And so that makes it kind of hard, actually. So a really good example of this that was really good for cash flow is when I had my original business, SourceWave. We made little SEO softwares, and they never really got past 50,000 a month. That's fine because I had like 8 of them, okay? And they all did little micro things really well. And like I said before, they were kind of little shitty, dinky softwares, but they did their little micro things well enough to keep the customers. I could keep getting customers and running people through them and allowing myself to cash flows while I was filling my big boy business. Now, Hyros right now is actually really fucking profitable, but that's because you've been doing it for a few years and we're really good at what we do. But you just have to understand that kind of relationship in SaaS. Don't try and take your little micro SaaS to $1 million per month if you're more so focused on cash flowing right now. Maybe get to 200,000 a month cash flow and then build your big boy SaaS from everything you've learned. That's my advice on that front. So this right here, in my opinion, is everything you need to go and build a SaaS company from start to finish. If you're a veteran or a beginner, this is the best way to start companies up based on where you are and based on your cash flow. I don't think there's a better method on earth right now that's more accessible due to vibe coding and how easy it is to learn code overall that is so isolated from competition. Like I said before, the problem with almost every other beginner business model is it's for beginners and everybody can get into it. You don't want that. You want a little bit of a moat or a separator between you and everybody else that allows you to just have yourself and these organic dentists or whatever you're niche down to all to sell to. That's going to be your huge edge. And there's no other business model out there like that that really has that level of moat and ease with such little upfront investment. Again, your investment can literally be just learning JavaScript and learning how to vibe code, which you can do in a couple months. I know a couple months to start your business and make money might seem like, but trust me, it's better than spending years dancing in front of fucking YouTube or trying to become a TikTok influencer to sell your fucking looks acting or your whatever fitness program or protein powder. All that stuff comes, you don't even make money for like years doing it. It's just fucking hard. This is better in my opinion. So that's the video. If you like these videos, like and subscribe and leave a comment and I might make more. All right, bye.